Hey guys, this video is going to be another meta update for 7.32, but we're specifically talking about heroes that you can first pick in the draft when in doubt. A lot of people ask me about what heroes to spam, and I think the most reliable ones are the ones that you can pick in any meta first round and still have a game. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Banana slam jam.
Hey guys, this video is brought to you by DOTA Plus, an app that gives you the edge when you load up into the draft. You can see your opponents and your allies' strengths and weaknesses along with the heroes they've played. But that's not all. You not only use this in your own games, but my favorite way of using the app is using it on the Watch tab, getting constant updates on the meta by seeing what players in the highest MMR bracket are currently playing. So once I pull up the Watch tab on the Dota client, I can just click game by game. Once I load into this game, I can get all stats for all 10 players in it. No matter what role I'm playing, I can get a little info on what the current meta heroes that these players are picking. I can load into another game, and I can do it once again. So every time you pull up this overlay, the app gives you some insane features. It gives you player and hero stats. It shows their stats from the last 3 months, the games they've played, the MMR, the win rate, the XPM, and the GPM per match. You can also see their most played heroes, and there's a green indication if they've been successful with them, and a red indication if they've been losing with it. You can mouse over that indicator to see exactly what their win rate is and the stats on this specific hero, just in case you want to know even more. You can see the player lane and role info. You can see a link to their profile on Dota Buff if you want to know more. You can see who they are queued with in case they're in a party. You get ban suggestions based on what the most likely hero the opponent is going to pick. And you get a matchups calculator that tells you whether or not your pick will fit in well against the opponent's draft as well as with your own. Check out the link in the description and download the app for yourselves today. So it's first and foremost important to understand why a hero is first pickable. There's several characteristics that a first pick hero will likely have. First and foremost, they are a strong laner. The reason why this is so important is because at the end of the day, on average, if played correctly, this hero will get out of the lane with at least a decent lane. So sometimes you'll have to learn how to play that hero correctly, and other times the hero, like Undying, for instance, just plays itself. Second, the hero will have a purpose in the game. And what I mean by that is that the hero's kit is reliable. There's heroes like Huskar, for instance, that are built upon snowballing, while there's other heroes with reliable teamfight spells that, regardless of how the early game goes, they will have some semblance of impact. Third, the hero has a reliable build. That is super important because when in doubt, when you are having a tough game, you know what to go for. Having set timings that you can look out for it helps you learn the hero, and it also helps you learn to play around their timings. And fourth is I talk about the reliability of the hero, but this hero has a strict job in the game. The way they like to play the game has multiple ways to be played. They can be played as a flash farmer. They can be played off map. They can be a team fighter, a pickoff hero. They play multiple roles in the game, which allows them to adjust to what their teammates are doing. So it means that you're not as likely to be griefed by your teammates' picks. So we're going to go ahead and list top 2 that I have for every role and give you a brief description of what makes them, in my opinion, the best heroes in 7.32 to first pick. So if you are in the 5 position, my go-to heroes are first Undying. Undying, simply put, wins every single lane with the changes to decay. So even if you become useless later on in the game, your carry, if you play properly, will free farm. And that is all that we need out of our 5 position at the end of the day. So even if your carry wants to throw, at least he will start the 10-minute mark with more gold than the opponent carry. Next up is CM. I think she's strong enough this patch to be a pretty strong laner, and she's a hero that enables her team in multiple ways. She can be tower defense / lane shove with her first spell. She can help pick people off with her second spell. And at the end of the day, giving your team free mana regen is something they will always be able to make use of. So she's a hero that can scale, and she naturally helps your teammates regardless of what they do. In the 4 position, we have Marcy. What makes Marcy so reliable is that she's an incredibly strong laner with a carry scaling build. 4 position Marcys right now are going Phase Boots, BKB, Basher. This means that in the early game, you'll help win your off lane of the lane, And in the mid to late game, you will have impact in team fights. And even if your teammates decide to throw, you are there to step in to solo kill some cores. Another hero in the 4 position is Earthshaker, and this hero is reliable teamfight scaling, which is always good, but most notably, if done properly, you can fissure block your creep wave at the start of the game, making the lane start really close to your offlaner's tower. And this is something, if done correctly, will pretty much always set up your offlaner to have a good early game. So having that easy, guaranteed good start along with that team fight scaling makes Earthshaker a very reliable first pick. In the 3 position, we primarily go for heroes that will have team fight or objective based impact with a reliable laning stage, because the goal of the 3 is to be farming while creating pressure. So this patch, the best heroes for that are Death Prophet and Enigma. Enigma goes for the Wraith Pack, making him a terror around the map, not just in team fights. And then Death Prophet pretty much just builds to live, right? We see a lot of Falcon Blades into like Phase Boots BKB, and you are an ultimate for team fights and objectives, and otherwise you can spam Crypt Swarm and be survivable on the map. These heroes, if first picked, have very few counters, if any, and should pretty much always come out of the lane even. In the 2 position, also have to prioritize laning strength if we are first picking, because in the mid lane, most heroes require a bit of a head start, a little bit of a snowball. And the 2 heroes that pro players are going to that are incredibly difficult to counter if played properly are Lina and Batrider. Lina scales as a physical damage hero or a magical damage hero, which gives her multiple options, as well as an incredibly dominant laning phase. And Batrider has the ability to recovery farm if he gets a bit of a rough start with Firefly getting stacked, so you can look to stack Ancients for yourself or have a teammate do it. And he eventually is just a BKB piercing disable, and he's able to split push very well with Boots of Travel and Firefly. In the 1 position, surpriser, shocker here, guys, Faceless Void. Now, this hero, you do have to be careful in lane, because if you do manage to mess up the lane a little bit, then the hero has very little recovery mechanics. If you're having a rough game, definitely queuing up the Midas is the way to go, but we want to try to avoid that. So it's super important to note that this hero is all about taking favorable trades, playing the sustained game in lane, and if you can get out of lane with treads and a piece of your Mask of Madness, like this hero is the be-all, end-all carry of 7.32. And in the second one, you guys are gonna hate me for this. We have to take a dramatic pause. But oddly enough, I think the second most reliable carry to first pick is Pudge. I'm not memeing. The hero has a very straightforward build. You go Phase Boots into Hood or Vanguard, which helps you sustain either against physical damage or magical damage. You can then queue up the Ags, which is a reliable farming tool, and you will scale into the late game. The hero has a very straightforward build, straightforward timings, and he's also a very strong laner with insanely high base damage. So it's easy CS, and very few matchups are unplayable for this hero. It is important to note that his worst matchups, which were mentioned yesterday as well, I believe, are Slardar and Ursa. High single target physical damage. If you can ban Ursa, I think this hero is a free pick. Most people do not counter Pudge very well. So if you guys are dealing with Pudge carry or Pudge offlane, Pudge core, definitely look to pick Ursa or Slardar, but I don't think people have really caught on to this yet, and it feels incredibly reliable if you're stuck first picking in the carry role. So thanks for watching, guys. 7.32, my recommendations for heroes to spam if you are stuck first picking. I think it's always good to have a hero in your pocket where you say, if nobody else on my team is picking, I know what I'm going to do. And these are my recommendations for every role. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Toodaloo.